you ever saw.
From hillbilly crime.
She weighs 11 pounds.
Can't hide from hillbilly.
Well, I tried to get our song recorded, and apparently it caught Mommy talking all through it. So sorry, y'all.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, Mommy. We'll do it. We'll do it next time. So welcome to the channel, everybody. My name is Elizabeth, and I am your friendly hillbilly host. And this is Sweet Tater with us, my little mommy. Say hi, Mom.
Hi, how's everybody doing today?
So we had some questions on one of the last couple shows we did, and several people said, what in the tarnation was Sweet Tater putting on her head? And I didn't know. So I looked up here a minute ago and I said, Mommy, what you got around your neck? And she said, what is it, Thelmy?
It's a heating pad, and it's really nice. It's on the back, and it's got a belt that ties around it. And then this comes over this way, and that gets hot too. I got an old crooked spine. It's crooked two ways, so it hurts. And heat helps it, when it hurts.
Hey, I love my heating pads. I plugged them up when we had this real 0-degree weather, and I put them underneath my blankets on the couch, and I stayed pretty warm. We get cold in this house now. It gets cold.
Well, I get cold too.
One of the things that we wanted to look at was the power bills. How high all these power bills have been recently. Somebody sent me an email a while back and showed me they sent their last two bills, and it went from like $250 a month up to $1,000 or $1,400 or something. It was outrageous how high their bill was, and you could see the straight increase. And the bills, they sent me a picture of them, and their bills you could see was from this month and then the next month and then the next month. It's just unreal. This is one of the poorest areas in Kentucky, and we have the highest power bills. And I blame our politicians for that. There's no way they should be getting away with the kinds of increases, the rate increases that they continuously approve. They have what's called a Public Service Commission, I think is the name of it. If that ain't right, you guys let me know. And I also have another a correction to make. So I said the other night when we was watching those videos of the judges' chambers with Judge Mullins, we were wondering who put the camera in his office or his chambers. It said one of the things that I caught in the video the other day was that it was a live feed. Now, I don't know if that was I just caught it, real short, but he said it was a live feed. And so anyway, the correction is, sometimes I get off distracted. We said it was the DOC. It wasn't the DOC. That's the Department of Corrections. I had the wrong letter. It's the AOC, which makes a completely different context. Completely.
Well, what does AOC stand for?
The AOC stands for the Administration of the Courts. So they are top dogs. Like they are over all the courts in Kentucky, I guess.
So, do they have an AOC in the other judges' quarters?
Well, I'm assuming that the AOC is a state. Let's see. Let me get it here and see, and I'll read it, and we'll see what it says. Administrative Office of the Courts. It's a county government office in Frankfort, Kentucky. Let's see. Administrative. It is the operational arm of the judicial branch. The AOC supports court facilities and programs in all 120 counties. So that is what it says the AOC is. Let's see.
Does it say? I mean, there'd be a lot of feeds if they put one in every judge's chambers in the state of Kentucky.
It sure would.
Because there's all kinds of judges.
It has a main campus in Frankfort. I'm not really sure. Does that mean that they just have one office in Frankfort, or do you think they have an office or a contact in every county? I don't know. Let's see. What does the administrative office of the courts do? Well, it's still just giving me kind of the same. The administrative office is responsible for carrying out judicial conference policies.
Well, I don't know no more than I did before.
No, I know, me neither. But at least we got the correction made.
Yeah.
Administrative Office of the Courts, Kentucky Court of Justice. So let's see. The AOC was established in 1976 as a result of the judicial article. The judicial article created Kentucky's unified court system and made the Chief Justice head of the state court system, also known as the Kentucky Court of Justice. The AOC carries out duties that are mandated by the Kentucky Constitution, including administering the judicial branch budget, building and maintaining court facilities, maintaining court statistics through a statewide case management database, administering personnel policies and payroll for court personnel, and providing educational programs for judges, circuit court clerks, and support staff. The Kentucky Court of Justice has earned a national reputation for many of its initiatives, including family court, drug court, judicial center facilities, judicial education, pretrial services, juvenile justice reform, court interpreting services, and diversity awareness. Its statewide case management system has put Kentucky on the cutting edge of court technology. Well, I'd say that's not very true in Letcher County. The Kentucky court system is committed to providing fair and equal treatment to its personnel and to the citizens who come before its courts, regardless of race, gender, religion, ethnicity, or sexual orientation. And then it's got a whole directory of like management stuff. But so that is what the AOC is, and that is who was responsible for putting that camera in Judge Mullins's office. Come on in, come on in. I Miss Tracy. Thank you, honey. Thank you for being here. With his rave music tonight. He's trying to get him a good song. Well, that's all right, Miss Tracy. Yeah. I was so excited to play that song. I'll see if I can pull it up through my email here in a minute and we'll play it maybe before we end. Oh, Southern Mammal. Hey, it's been a while since I've been on a live. I still watch. So proud of you, Elizabeth. Well, thank you, sweetheart. I'm a nobody. Nobody has ever cared about what I had to say before. And so it's all kind of, and I got a lot to say. Chris Rose, I've got one identical to it, and they're great. Oh, I think y'all are talking about music. Brian Hawkins, hi y'all. First time on a chat. I've been keeping up on the judge and sheriff craziness with Hillbilly crime. I keep the guys at work updated. Thanks. Well, thank you for listening. Let's see. Lori Jane, Kitchen Alive. Hi, everybody. So what do you guys think? What do you all think about just the new updates, all the new information that has kind of come out recently? What do you think, Mommy? What you got to say?
Well, I think that it's a great old big cesspool, and I don't know what they're going to shake out, but I think we'll all be maybe not surprised, but we'll all be kind of, oh, Lord, Lordy, look here, what's happening. We're all in a state of glory. There's just a lot of stuff going on, that's all I'm going to say. And it wasn't too pretty, and it involved women, and it involved the victimization of women. And people just that knew about it turned a blind eye to it because they considered those women that were being victimized as throwaway women.
Absolutely. Do you know how many women I have had say, maybe they were hit on by one or two, but they never saw anything from these others, and I said, that's right, because there wasn't no chance in HE double hockey sticks that you were going to do what they wanted you, what the point was. I'm not going to say it, but you're going to get my meaning here. What are we talking about? We're talking about what you'd call a quickie or something, okay?
We're talking about a brothel.
Yeah. But we're talking about an end result that these people are trying to get to. And it might not be so much a sexual urge or desire, which of course it is, but there's also another component to it, and it's power and it's control. Like we have seen other people, they're predators, but I've heard with one case in particular that I'm thinking about, it has been accused that, it was a man, and he was, how do I say it? The fun of it is getting somebody to break over and do it, like Scott Blair, the Commonwealth attorney in Perry County. I hate to just keep talking about him, but it's so relevant. He was meeting up with straight men that were under his, he was supposed to be prosecuting them. And he was putting them in a position to where they either let him do something to them or vice versa. Could you imagine the PTSD and just the trauma alone to something like that? But that's what the power trip is seeing if you can make someone bend the knee and do what you're asking them to do. And with an educated woman or somebody who has, a little bit of credibility about them, they don't go to people who aren't, already
they're already down on their luck. They're at the bottom of the barrel and there's no way up for them. And they're
people
just there as a whipping post.
Well, you've got people who were Casey lawed. You've got people who've had mental health issues, who've had, substance abuse issues. A lot of them are already, kind of doing things that they don't want to do. And I don't care who you are. You have a pair of handcuffs thrown on you and then, strip searched, thrown in a jail cell with a bunch
we don't treat people with enough dignity. The legal don't. I mean, okay, so they're criminals, but that doesn't mean that you should treat them with any less dignity than you'd treat me.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And I'm an old woman, and they probably wouldn't want nothing from me. I might loan them the heating pad. But I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with love. It doesn't have anything to do with them being sexually aroused. The sexual arouser is a natural response to certain stimuli. Doesn't have anything to do with sex. It's from the stimuli that they get, and doesn't have anything to do with those women, I don't know. I just think it's just really disgusting and low class.
Yeah.
That they could victimize people that have all their life been kicked around and beat down and oppressed and lack of opportunity, and their own mothers may not have even liked them when they were little.
Absolutely. You've got that, addiction around here is generational. And there's oftentimes you've got maybe up to 3, maybe even 4 generations under one roof, thanks to these big high power bills everybody's having to pay.
How's that got anything to do with? Oh, you're talking about people having to live together?
Yeah. And so if you go to rehab, everybody has an easier time of making it when you're in a controlled environment, and you're being watched and you can't get to nothing. It's just a much easier way to, kick the initial 30 days.
Well, it's an easier way to there's not any drugs being put in front of your face all the time.
Well, and you weren't here the other day when I said this. There's a whole lot, ARC has been under this FBI investigation for Medicaid fraud. But, there was a lot of people that have been coming forward who have worked there, who have been clients there, and who have come forward and said what they saw. One guy said he was given us an intern spot, and that it was his job, and another guy, I guess that would have been his mentor, whoever he was working with under, they were to take a bunch of food stamp cards, allegedly, and go to Walmart and buy stuff. So he says they go to Walmart, they buy a bunch of stuff like Monsters, those big energy drinks, and Kit Kats, and just a whole bunch of junk food, right? Well, then they take it all back to the place. But see, they won't let everything cost money. And they remember when I went to rehab, Mom, you guys could bring me shampoo and conditioner, and I was allowed to have clothes and, just anything like that we needed. Our families could bring it to us. Now, from what I'm understanding and being told through people who've been there, that facility is not that way. They have an actual store in the facility.
Through the store.
You can't bring nothing in. Everything that you buy there, you have to pay cash for, because remember, they got your food stamp card on file up there at the top. And now those food stamp cards are supposed to be used to buy the food with that they make their meals. And, they have breakfast, they have lunch, and they have dinner, usually. Now, this is the way it was when I was in a 30-day treatment center. The Independence House in Corbin was a wonderful place. The Lane House in Prestonsburg was a great place. It wasn't, I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about their administrative level stuff, but I was a client there, and it was pretty decent. But so they take, and I've been on those grocery store runs where you go and then you help the worker or whoever she was carry in all the groceries and stuff. And they would buy bags of potatoes, and they bought meat, and they bought, they just bought stuff at the store like a normal place, only they would buy it in quantity because you had so many people there.
And then those places were few and far between. When it got out of hand is when they started, the court got into placing people in those centers, and people got the idea that they were going to make money running those ARC houses. Yeah. There were some that were religious, and there were some that did different things. Usually you had to go on a big long waiting list before you could get in. Sometimes you even had to pay some. Yep, absolutely. And people didn't go into them because they were court ordered. They went into them because they wanted to kick their habit. Yes. Yeah. And sometimes, listen, I was court ordered every time I went. Oh, you were? I didn't know that. Wasn't I? I don't know. I think I was, but maybe I wasn't. I don't know. My memory's not very good sometimes about stuff like that, but I thought I was court ordered. If I wasn't court ordered every time, I know there was, I don't know how many times I go to rehab. Mommy sent me to rehab when I was 18 or 19. I had gotten pregnant with Willie, and I liked that Mary Jane a little bit. I just started with a little bit of Mary Jane, and Mommy she made me go to rehab for 30 days. And that was okay because I was pregnant. I'd just gotten pregnant, first child. I wasn't much of a hardcore addict back then, but it gave me a great experience. But anyway, I don't remember what I was saying, but I think that whenever they started, making peer support specialists, when they really started opening and creating, and which I think it's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. Please don't ever think that let me say two things. Please don't ever think that I don't have compassion for any victim whatsoever. But
I also have this other side to me that, you know, we do have to take some responsibility for the way that we live our lives. You know, it is our life. And so many things, bad things, and I'm talking about myself here. I put myself in those bad situations, you know. Like if I hadn't have made bad decisions and was running around with the wrong people and stuff like that, Alan, then I wouldn't have been there for the things to happen. You know what I mean? I didn't have no business there. I had no business there. Not that what the things that happened were that excuses that. No. But I had to learn to stop putting myself in those kinds of positions.
But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people that are in positions of authority and power,
Yes.
and how they abuse those positions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how they use them to boost their ego. That's all it is an ego boost. Has nothing to do with sexuality, has nothing to do with the fact that they desire these women. They just know that through the manipulations that they will do, that they will get a sexual arousal.
Yeah.
They don't want anything to do with those women sexually.
No, it's a power and control issue. You know, and if you look at the way that this has went down. These women.
This is a cruelty thing. It's no different than kicking a dog when he's down. They are being cruel to those people, and they enjoy being cruel to them. They know that that's a cruelty thing.
Oh,
they don't even deserve to. They ought to have to go out and shovel coal for a living.
That's right. I've heard from some other people who work in the legal field, who work in or have worked in surrounding counties, and one of them said that they were just shocked at the light caseloads and stuff that seem to be here. You know, that oftentimes they'd be out of the courtroom at 12 o'clock in the day. You know, their day was over. They pretty much ran everything. They picked and choose their own hours, pick and choose your cases, you know. But so I looked something up because I wanted to look and see what the different or the similarities with how, you know, like organized crime is run. Okay, so I pulled up this article and it was just really fascinating. Let's see. And it is called How the Mafia Works. So the mafia at its core is about one thing and one thing only: money.
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to leave it that way. All right. Throughout its history,
terrible.
Go ahead.
It's just awful to think that our court system has turned into nothing but a way to victimize the people that come through their establishment. It's no different than what the coal mining companies did to the people that lived there. They took advantage of them. They treated them awful. And, you know, to me, you know, when you watch how they terrorized people and tried to get them to confess things, you can't get any confession out of people by, you know, like the kinds of techniques that they used down there where we had all those prisoners. Honey, they
Guantanamo.
pulled the fingernails. Yes. To me, doing that sexual stuff is no different than those people that pulled those people's fingernails off. It's the same sort of mental and physical torture.
Well, let me read this real quick. It says, throughout its history, the mafia has controlled everything from the street corner rug trade to the highest levels of government. Now, we are in the mountains. You know, when we say mafia, we think of like New York, or at least I do. Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. But, you know, the behavior is so very, and the criminal behavior and the code of silence, because that's what we see so much is the silence. Okay. It has controlled everything. Okay. Its members operate outside the law, yet become accepted and sometimes feared parts of the neighborhoods and cities they inhabit. Glorified by movies and television. Okay. The mafia is in its own right a family. It's a brotherhood. Same way you see law enforcement. I just see so many
Absolutely.
similarities here. To become a family member means to accept secret rituals, complicated rules, and tangled webs of loyalty. Those who run afoul of the family risk being ostracized, and worse. Many mobsters who have turned against the mafia have met an untimely, often gruesome death. In this article, we'll find out how people get into the mafia, what the mafia does, and what law enforcement agencies have done to stop them. We'll also learn about the important people and events that have shaped the history. Okay, well, we're not going to read all of that, but we are going to read the parts that I thought were very, very interesting. Today, the word mafia is used to refer to almost any organized crime group. Any organized crime group. Doesn't matter where it's at. Doesn't have to be in New York. And in some cases is even used to describe groups completely unrelated to crime. Okay. In organized crime, there is a hierarchy with higher ranking members making decisions that trickle down to the other members of the family. The mafia is not a single group or gang. It is made up of many families that have, at times, fought each other in bitter, bloody gang wars. At other times, they have cooperated in the interest of greater profits, sometimes even serving on a commission that made major decisions affecting all the families. Most of the time, though, they simply agree to stay out of each other's way. Mafiadom is neither a political nor a religious affiliation because that's about Italian. All right. The structure described belong to a group. Other crime organizations have similar structures, but may differ in some ways. Each gang is known as a family. The number of families can range from fewer than 10 to more than 100. Sometimes the emergence of a new family must be approved. That's kind of... Each family has separate business dealings, but the dealings of the families can intermingle depending on their proximity to one another and the commonality of their ventures. The leader of each family is known as the boss or the Don. All major decisions are made by the Don, and money made by the family ultimately flows to him. The boss's authority is used to resolve disputes and keep everyone in line. Just below the boss is the underboss. The underboss is the second in command. Although the amount of power he wields varies, some underbosses resolve disputes without involving the boss. Some are groomed to replace the boss if he is old or in danger of going to jail. Beneath the underboss are the capos. The number of capos varies depending on the overall size of the family. A capo acts like a lieutenant, leading his own section of the family. He has specific activities that he operates. The capo's territory may be defined geographically or by the rackets he operates. The key to being a successful capo is making money. The capo keeps some of the money his rackets earn and passes the rest up to the underboss and boss. The dirty work is done by the soldiers. A soldier is the lowest rank among the men. Soldiers are part of the family, but they hold little power and make relatively little money. The number of soldiers under any capo can vary. And then in addition to them, there's the associates. They're not actual members of the mafia, but they work with mafia soldiers and capos on various criminal enterprises. An associate could include anyone from a burglar or a rug reeler to a lawyer, investment banker, police officer, or politician. One other position within the family is the consigliere. I don't know if I'm saying that right. They are not supposed to be part of the family's hierarchy. He is supposed to act as an advisor and make impartial decisions based on fairness and logic rather than personal feelings or vendettas. This position is meant to be elected by the members of the family, not appointed by the boss. And All right. And then let me go down. To the code of silence. And there's all kinds of families use a variety of activities to accomplish the main goal of making money. One of the most common is one of the simplest: extortion. Extortion is forcing people to pay money by threatening them in some way. Protection brackets are extortion schemes. I've heard that there were some of those going on here, especially back in the day. If you were a rug reeler, there was a certain agency, I'll just leave it at that was supposedly, if you paid them monthly, they wouldn't raid you. They'd leave you in your rug reeling stuff alone. Let's see. They've made money through a wide variety of illegal activities over the years. Alcohol during Prohibition, illegal rugs, ladies of the night, illegal gambling, to name a few. Now, I've said it before. There are illegal gambling houses here. You got one in Whitesburg, and you got one across the mountain in Eola. And they're, from what I hear, I've never been there, but from what I hear, I've only heard about one specific person, but one of the people down there in that circle is a regular customer. I need to change the batteries in my mouse. Oh, let's see. William DeFord. They will be charged with civil rights violations, and it wasn't just women. Still, say Mickey and Judge had a perverse relationship. I haven't heard that before. I don't know. But hey, I've been wrong before. Corrupt Town, Florida, FLA. I guess that's Florida Boys Ventures. Y'all be careful. No one is reporting like you, and I bet they don't like it. Well, I mean, all we do is really read the newspapers. We read the articles. We read the news reports, and we react to it. I mean, Mommy Tammy said, "Wow, sweet tater, she just hit it perfectly." Butterfly kisses says, "Sweet tater said it well." Nene Brown, exactly. John Cooper, sweet tater nailed it. Yep. Allegedly, Lisa says, "Preach, tater."
I'd make a good preacher, wouldn't I?
You would, honey. You would.
Well,
Annie Oakley.
I've been the underdog lots of times, and I still come out in the underdog's position a lot of time too. You go into a particular club or class, and everybody in there is buddies and friendly, and you're the oddball out. Mm-hmm. So it's just not right that people should be classed and people should be oppressed and that people should be treated poorly. It's just not right.
Bernice says, "Tell them like it is, sweet tater." And Bird Dog says, "I've shoveled coal, Mom."
Well, there's nothing wrong with shoveling coal.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I
could have said that they could be out there digging graves or shoveling out the outhouse.
Mm-hmm. It's not just, these women that were in the jail. This is why I keep saying I don't see how this is not human trafficking. I just don't see how it's not either. We can go to the Kentucky Attorney General's website, and they have an entire section on human and sex trafficking. People think that, at least I think people think that this is something like that comes over the border from Mexico, or it's illegal aliens, being trafficked, or it's runaways, or it's ladies of the night, or whatever. But look at what they did. They built an entire economy on our local economy. They rebuilt it. And I still say every bit of it started with the nonprofit Hal Rogers's group, and I'm talking about the relationships. So all of these nonprofits and the for-profits and the addiction and treatment and recovery and all this stuff, they had all these great big SOAR summit things every year, and Hal Rogers would come and the governor would come, and back I think it might have been Andy Bashir's daddy who was actually governor when it started, but I always thought it was Bevan, so I'm not sure, but it was either Bevan or Daddy Bashir, and when it started. And so I'm sure they started it. It's huge. This organization is absolutely huge. And there's just a lot. They say that they're all about making connections. They have introduced this company with this company so they could do something. And they've introduced this politician with this person or this group over here so they could do something. It was all about building these relationships and these networks of people to bring like innovation to Eastern Kentucky. And all of these people talk so good. They've got the gift of gab. They're like used car salesmen. They could sell Eskimo and igloo.
Or a preacher.
Or a preacher. And everybody's a preacher. All of these bigwigs, for some reason, become preachers or say they're a preacher. I don't know. I've not been to none of their
Yeah, Bird Dog
churches.
says he's a black hat. I wonder what a black hat is.
Well, they've got like a green hat is somebody who just starts in the coal mines. So a black hat,
He's
I'd
a
say,
black
is
hat.
probably,
He's done a lot of them.
yeah. Kim Mack says, I agree. It's power and a work environment where they encourage these exploits. And
Well,
think about what we've already heard. We've already heard, like, it wasn't just the inmates, the employees are all sleeping with each other too.
well, the other thing is what you have for examples, the examples that the old ones set, you know, the ones that have been there for a long time. It don't matter where you're at. It's that way. They set these examples. And so the new people coming in, they think they can do that too. So it's sort
That's
of,
right.
you got to get rid of the whole mess. You know, sometimes
That's
I've gone
exactly
into
right.
a place to teach, and it's like every man that's there's teaching is being naughty with the girls, and they marry them and everything else. And that should never be. That should never be. I would never consider sleeping with a student. Never in a. Well, I just wouldn't consider it. It just wouldn't be fair. I'm supposed to
No,
set an example.
that's exactly right. We are supposed to be setting examples as,
If
as
you're in the law
elders.
enforcement,
Period.
you should be setting an example for others to live by. You know, your life should be kind of squeaky clean.
Absolutely.
I'm not
You should
saying you can't
be,
drink beer, or you
you
might get divorced, and all kinds of stuff might happen to you personally, but you shouldn't be out there messing around with people that you're supposed to be trying to arrest, or trying to keep order. You just shouldn't be messing with them. I've been watching this series on Henry VIII. I don't know if y'all remember Henry VIII, that king of England that cut all them women's heads off. He was married like 5 or 6 times, and I know he cut the heads off of 2 of them. Well, anyway, I watch that and I think, man, that's just like what goes on in politics today. The corruption.
That's right. It is. It absolutely is.
And we can't do much about corruption on the national level. But man, it shouldn't be happening right here in our own little old bitty community. I don't know how many people live in Letcher County, but there's not that many people to where you couldn't just have ideal situations. Yeah, sure, you're going to have criminals, right? So what you do is you give them the best and the fairest treatment you possibly can. You take them down there to the courthouse. You treat them like you would treat your own mother, and then you do whatever the law says you should do. There ain't no place in the legal books that say that you should be having relationships of an intimate nature with clients. It shouldn't be allowed.
Absolutely not.
Those people need to be voted out of office.
Well, and my biggest pet peeve is when, because everybody wants to say, well, there's good cops, the crimes or the few bad shouldn't paint the good ones, but the good ones are also witnessing what these bad ones are doing. You cannot tell me too many times they'll be on a call together, and you've got good cop, bad cop, and they always play good cop, bad cop.
Well, I don't think they ought to be able to lie to people to get them to confess. I know that they do that, and I know that that's legal, but I just don't think that that's ethical.
I don't
If
think
you
it
don't
is
have
either.
enough information to convict a person, then that's your problem. It's not, you shouldn't be lying to try to get information from them. I just
Yep.
don't like that. And the thing about it is the more bad ones you get, then the more bad ones you'll get.
Well, let's look at this guy here. This has been a really, really big case that has hit the
Who is
news. This guy, he's a former KSP captain charged with grape, the S word in second indictment.
Well,
This
look
was
at
in
him.
Paintsville, Kentucky. And a former Kentucky State Police captain who was charged with the R word and schmeck's abuse in Magoffin County earlier this year has now been indicted in a second case in Johnson County. Anthony Talby, 48, of Salyersville, is now charged with 2 counts of third-degree R word and 1 count of third-degree S word in the new case. Officials close to the case have said it arose out of electronic evidence, which is where they'll catch them every single time. Even though they know that their phones, there's no way to hide it. Even if they delete it, the technology that they have today can go back and recover deleted stuff as long as it's not already been that memory has already been written over you. Officials close to the case have said it arose out of the new indictment alleges Talby had sexual contact with a 17-year-old on May 21st and 22nd of 2018. The charges in Magoffin County involve allegations that Talby had sexual contact with a person younger than 18 back in 2018. All of the charges Talby faces in both counties are Class D felonies, punishable by 1 to 5 years in prison. Talby is a retired state trooper who was a former captain at Kentucky State Police Post 9 in Pikeville, and later served as commander of Post 6 in Dry Ridge. Following his retirement, so that means he worked long enough to retire. How long you think this has been going on? Because I'm sure it didn't just start.
Well, he may have retired after this started coming forward.
Oh, that's true.
Because they're not going to be checking his cameras and his phones and that kind of stuff unless they get a complaint.
Well, listen to this. It said this will answer it. Following his retirement, he worked as a criminal justice teacher at the Magoffin County Career and Tech Center. He has been suspended from that position without pay since February of 2022. So what did he like? He liked teenage girls. He liked high school age girls. He went and got him a job where he could be close and around teenage girls. Talby was arrested on the new indictment Friday and later released on his own recognizance. That's what we're fighting here, y'all. He was released on his own recognizance. He remains subject to a $20,000 bond in the Magoffin County case. He's scheduled to appear in Johnson Circuit Court December 8th for arraignment on the new charges. We've got 3 articles here about this guy.
All right, is anything current?
Yeah. Listen, this one was March 8th of 2024. Former teacher's case in mediation. The case against a former Magoffin County Schools teacher facing felony sexual abuse and R-word charges has been referred to felony mediation. Anthony Talby, was referred to criminal mediation, where the prosecutor and his attorney will be in mediation with a retired judge to attempt to reach an agreement out of court, though no date has been set at press time for that meeting. Talby was indicted in July 2023 and charged with one count, first-degree sexual abuse, and one count of third-degree R-word. According to the indictment, on or about March 1st through June 1st, Talby allegedly subjected another person to sexual contact by forcible compulsion. Doesn't that mean that was forced? It wasn't coerced.
Yeah, I think that means that he held her down or something.
On or about March 1st through August 12th, 2018, he is accused of engaging in a sexual thing with another person less than 18 years old, and while he was a person in a position of authority or special trust. And then it just tells what he was charged with. In 2018, when the crimes were alleged to have occurred, Talby was employed by Magoffin County Schools and was a high school criminal justice teacher. He is currently out on bond. See, that's what gets them, is the position of trust. When they are in a position of trust and 10 years or more older than the victim, because in the state of Kentucky, can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. In the state of Kentucky, the age of consent, I think, is just 16.
I believe it is too. It's not 18.
It's that, but it's that 10 years or more older than, and the position of authority is what gets them.
Yep.
That's what makes it a felony, because other than that, it wouldn't even be a crime.
I think that this reared its ugly head before he was ever hired by that school system when he was doing active duty as a policeman.
Yeah, I think he worked as a he might have worked as a corrections officer. Let's see. This one was from.
I thought he was a patrolman.
He was a Kentucky State policeman, and then he retired and became a school teacher.
But did he retire because he had been nasty, or did he retire because he wanted to?
I don't think so. I think he retired because he wanted to. He wasn't in trouble, or they didn't indict him until he was a school teacher. This is a quote. It says, "We have been made aware of the charges filed against Mr. Talby. Mr. Talby has been suspended without pay from Magoffin County Schools since February 2022. We will monitor this situation and act according to statute. We will always keep our students' safety and best interest as our main priority," the district said in a statement. The Kentucky DOC stated that the incident did not take place at a DOC facility and that the department was taking corrective actions against Talby.
So what did Talby do yesterday?
I don't know if he did anything yesterday or not.
Well, but what I'm saying is this should have already been an issue that's in the past, shouldn't it?
It sure should be, but it's not got it does not have an outcome yet. And that is one of the points that we've got here.
So they're dragging it out till he dies.
They drag them all out. They drag them all out. You know, what I think they do that for is it puts time. You know, it lets time go by. So, you know, the victims aren't as outraged, or the people, not just victims, but the people aren't as outraged. And a lot of times
they say that's in the past and he doesn't have any contact with these people today so that he can do that. So we'll just go light on him.
Well, and it, you know, that's really a big problem with our legislators too. Apparently, Kentucky legislators don't think that this kind of edifying pay behavior deserves any real time. You know, like it's not really that big of a deal. You know, we're just going to give them a slap on the wrist and let them
The
go.
thing is that it may not be such a big deal, but it's what it implies. And that is that this is not the only victim. And he probably did that same kinds of behavior when he was a Kentucky policeman, state policeman. This isn't something that crops up when you get to be 48 years old.
Yeah. So,
you know, and so you're in a position of authority where you can mandate that people do whatever you tell them to do.
So I told everybody a story the other day. Oh, Kentucky Proud says I have the same heating pad.
I love it.
So anyway, I told a story the other day about, you remember the time when I was in 5th grade and I went to Benham grade school, and then boys did that to me in the hallway, and I walked out of school and went home, and you were at Eastern. Do you remember that? And Dougie called you and told you that I had done something, and you came home and had kind of a fuss with the principal because they was wanting to. I was going to be in trouble for leaving school. You remember that?
I sort of remember it.
Yeah. Y'all, I'm 48 years old. So in 5th grade, how many years ago would
You
that
were
have been?
10.
10. So it was, you know, but that's the problem. You said it the other day, Mommy. You said it was the culture here. These are, because, no, it was actually earlier.
And it's a culture towards women.
Absolutely. It's a culture.
That, you know, if you treat women that way, it's, you know, it's not that big of a deal because that's what women were born for. So we're still kind of like a little bit of a second-class citizen.
Yeah.
Now, I've never been treated like one. You know what I'm saying? I was always fortunate because my association with the college, and because I taught mathematics, people thought I was kind of bright. Well, I don't know that it was, but I mean, it's not hard to understand. If you study something, you can, you know, get it down. So I was always in a position of respect or something. People didn't mess with me. I still am.
Absolutely. Mommy's always had a really good reputation.
Well, I don't know about that, but I've never been accused of the, you know, the naughty stuff.
No. My dog Rex, living off retirement on the people's backs, living it up 5 years after getting charged.
Yeah, I know.
Backwoods Georgia girl. If that would have been one of us, we had $1 million bond.
Well, of course.
Absolutely. Let's see. I gotta go back here to some of these comments. Lisa Cox says Sweet Tater is the cutest and she knows her stuff. I saw her on STS and she rocked it.
What was STS?
When we went on Surviving the Survivor with Joel and his mommy.
And when I gave my little song at the end.
Yes, you did good, mommy. Let's see.
If the preacher in your church and he ain't doing right, well, you just throw him out and you let the church roll on. If the police in your town and they ain't doing right, well, throw them out and let the community roll on.
There you go, honey.
That's what we need to do.
That's right.
You know, it says police are funded by tax dollars. Well, I didn't know that that's the way that worked. But since we've been doing this, you know, I go down there and pay my taxes every year, my county taxes. And do you know where most of that money goes? Now, a little bit of it goes someplace else. And you always go to the police department to pay it.
Yep.
And that money goes to the police department, my tax dollars. Well, I'm mad about that. I think that money should go to improve the educational opportunities for underprivileged people in the county.
Well, you know, I'm not opposed to paying my taxes, you know, for where I live.
Well, I'm not opposed to paying taxes either.
But, you know, we just have to do better. So here's a little question I've got. How many of these cops do you think around here actually pay for gas? If they're always, and I mean always, driving a county car to and from work, I didn't think that that's what you were supposed to do all the time, take your car home. But if you do, that's okay. But are you supposed to only go grocery shopping and go to the store and stuff? Well, do you think as long as they're driving their cruiser, if they're stopping on the way to and from work and they're doing all this, do you think they ever pay $1 in gas? I mean, I'm sure they do, but
the idea behind them, I believe that they ought to be like a common, you know, place where they all stay, and then you come to work and get yours. Right. But the argument for letting them take their cruisers to their home is so that in the neighborhood it's safer if there's a police car sitting around. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the reasoning behind it. It provides security for the neighborhood that they live in.
Well, I think it sure opens the door to a lot of abuse of, you know, if they never have to drive their own vehicles and they never, and you know dang well they're not putting their own money in the work vehicle. Hang on a minute, I gotta get this from her. Then quick, she catches me on the show all the time and does things she's not supposed to do. She's worse than a toddler.
My little naughty girl's over here taking a nap. She's decided she's a terror.
But they have policies against that kind of stuff, you know, and maybe not necessarily against it, but I'm sure they have a policy in their policy book that refers to that part of it, you know.
You know, I've been talking about this for about an hour, because we started and you know, I can't talk about it no longer.
Okay. It's all right, Mommy. I know it's a lot.
Well, it is for me. I don't want to think about this old stuff. I want to live my life, and I'm a happy camper, and I want to use my life to improve the lives of other people and do good things. I don't want to be talking about all this evil.
I know. It's It's a lot. I've had so many people reach out to me just this week. Yesterday we had to go to Lexington because Gregory had his MRI and stuff, and so it was just a long day. It was a long day. All right, Mommy, if you want to go, you go. I love you. I'll talk to you later.
Alrighty, I love everybody.
All right, bye. So let's look at some of these comments. Allegedly Lisa, thank you all for being here and showing Elizabeth and Sweet Tater your support. Absolutely. Thank you. What I was saying about going to Lexington yesterday, Gregory's tests were all good. Praise the Lord. He'll go back later at the end of the month and get his stent took out. But that's why we didn't do a show last night. I was wore out by the time we got home. But I've had so many people that have reached out to me just this week and and all of this information, all of these secrets, all of these accusations, they're coming from every direction. And it just makes me question, which I've been questioning them, but it really makes me question these investigations that were done. How hard did they look? Obviously not hard enough. There's a lot of big secrets that people have had to keep for reasons such as, working here, living here. They still have to go to work every day with the same people. And something I learned, somebody told me that Ashley Sturgill, who was nominated for the district judge, said she was married to the Whitesburg chief of police, the one that was in Taco Bell drive-thru. Now, Mommy says he's a really nice guy. I don't know him. I've never met him. I've actually got a video of him giving an kind of like a speech at a it was a Spark rally, was what it was, several years ago. Jamie Hatton, I think, was the one. He's our county attorney. He put out the first annual Spark rally. I've still got the shirt. Am I wearing it? No, but I wear it all the time. But and so they put this great big rally together, and it was down on Main Street in Whitesburg, and it was a huge function. They had the Narcan bus from Louisville. They had it down there. They had representatives from all different kinds of rehabs and resources, like different resources for people. It was about addiction. I don't know if that was when they really started the that court program down there. I don't know if that was the beginning of it, but it was around that time, I think. If I remember correctly, I was working with a TV station, a local public access television station. And so I was there covering it. And so I have a whole bunch of video from that day of all of the speakers that got up there and spoke, and he was one of them. But so anyway, I was just really, really surprised. I didn't know that. I didn't know that she was his wife, or that he was her husband. So that surprised me. Let's see. Randall Turner. She was probably talking about her city tax. However, the sheriff is responsible for collecting county property taxes. The largest portion of those go to schools. I don't know who told her that. I don't know where she got her information about that from. I know that the sheriff's department, our sheriff's department, we went through those audits. And I know that they do get funded by some sort of taxes, property taxes, but I'm not exactly sure how much of that they get or anything like that. I haven't read up on all that stuff in a while. The government is supposed to work for the people. So I guess it's up to us people to do the investigations. Well, look how much money is involved. I've said it from the very beginning, y'all. Money is at the center. It's at the foundation. It's all around this. It's all greed and money. The SMEC stuff is just an added side benefit, in my opinion. It all comes down to money. And if you don't have a good practice and if you don't have nothing good in place to prevent, identify, and correct waste, fraud, and abuse, I mean, what do you expect when they're putting $2 million in the miscellaneous category? And then there's no records for it. There's no receipts for it. There's no nothing. And then you go and listen to the old judge executive say that he's not giving them no more money. He done give them enough money, way too much money, and he refused to give them any more. And then the news report came on and said that over time, they had, I don't know how much time, but they had given our fiscal court, Letcher County Fiscal Court, allegedly gave the sheriff's department over $2.7 million for their deficits because there was evidence, there was money missing, they were commingling their funds. Now, how many of those audits have said that repeatedly every year? You need to fix this. You need to fix this. You need to fix this. Well, who's to step in and say, okay, we've told you enough times that you need to fix this? Now it's just becoming negligence. How come there's nobody to look into that stuff? How is this not money laundering or some sort of white collar crime here? Do we have anybody that's even qualified to recognize financial crimes? Because a lot of this stuff, like things, public records that I myself looked into for the nonprofits, they don't have anything listed. Like salaries and stuff like none of that's listed on stuff that I went to try to find. And it just kind of backs up the experience that I had with a nonprofit. All that stuff is very easily hid. And if you don't have somebody that has experience in this stuff and knows how it's supposed to be, so that way they're able to identify it and say, and catch it, because somebody who's not trained, somebody who has no idea what they're looking at, they're not going to catch it. You can give them your paperwork. Yeah, everything looks fine. Everything checks out. Yeah, everything looks great. When if they were actually trained and knew what they were supposed to be looking for, oh no, it ain't great. You know. So I think that they really need to be looking at the money. My questions are still the exact same that they were before. Where's all that evidence that belonged in the evidence room? Where were all them rugs coming from that Edison Banks' girlfriend got caught with? Where were they coming from and where were they going? Alan, please. I've not seen nothing for the last several years about the evidence locker. The stuff that was in the evidence. Where did that go? A lot of stuff wasn't reported. What do they do with it? Are they supposed to destroy it after a certain amount of time? I don't know. But it would be nice to find out the answers to those questions. I had a question here. Let me go back and see if I can find it. Let's see. I think I might have took a picture of it. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. So guess what I've figured out or learned? Scott Blair, the one that the Commonwealth attorney in Hazard, Perry County, that got in trouble through the FBI investigation with the smacks and the rugs and honest services fraud. It's the only thing he got charged with. Guess who his attorney was in that case? And that was a federal case. Guess who his lawyer was, his defense attorney? None other than Ned Pillersdorf himself. He defended him in that federal case. How could he defense attorneys, that's their job. I know. But I just found that very interesting that he was his defense attorney and also the attorney that filed this civil rights lawsuit. I find that very, very fascinating. Everybody said I was going to say Daniel. That wouldn't surprise me none either. He defends them all. It seems like there would be so many conflicts of interest in that whole thing. Lori Dean, there's no accountability, so why change? That's right. Ain't nobody gonna make them. Tammy Conley, money, money, money in the rich man's world. It's always sunny in a rich man's world. Yeah. Yes, if you've not hit that like button, hit it for me, please. It helps me so much. And I am still trying to get this off the ground, y'all. We got to eat this month. Hit the like, share, subscribe, and become a member. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, too, so you don't miss an episode. A lot of people have asked me about becoming a member. So I was going to become a member on Gavin's channel the other day, and from an iPhone, it doesn't give you that prompt. It doesn't give you that join button. So you have to join through a computer. So if you've got a laptop, a desktop, something like that, you can go and become a member there. You can also go to the link. If somebody's got the link and you want to throw it in the chat for them, we'd appreciate that. I don't know if anybody's got it on hand or not. Joanne, our local justice court judge was just arrested on Thursday by the feds for forcible child. He's been a judge for 30 years. Look it up. It's mind-blowing. Utah judge Kevin Christensen. Unreal. And it's happening more and more. It's more, I don't think that it's really happening more. I think it's been happening since the beginning of time, y'all. Truly, it has. Because, it's human nature. Unfortunately, it's part of human nature, but not this. It wasn't intended for this. This sure ain't what God created us for. Here where I live, property taxes are paid at the tag office. Interesting. Randall Turner. Yes, paid at sheriff's office or mailed into the sheriff's office. I'll be telling my age, but ever heard the song by ABBA, Money, Money, Money? Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Fonda Horsley, 1 Timothy 6:10. For the love of money is the root of all evil. It's true. Jerry rocks. Hi, Elizabeth. I'm really digging you and your channel. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Hillbilly Train. We're going to listen to our song. Oh, no, we can't. Yes, we are. I can pull my song up. Give me just a second. And I'll pull it up this other way. And we'll listen to it. I'm excited. Let's see. There we go. Close that out. And close that out. Sometimes when you got too much open on your computer, it's just hard on the engine. Hard on the engine.
You can't hide from hillbilly crime.
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 You may not know that there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dark pass away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to fly and they can't be found.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds, whisper tales of troubled minds, skeletons covering the mountainside, treacherous reality in the pines.
Winter reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't match the cry. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise. All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground, rumors fly and they can't be found.
Just need us a guitar
Winter reveals the hidden lie. Moonlight could mask their cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground, rumors fly and they can't be found.
I love it. It's a great song, ain't it, guys? So now we got us a song again. Yay. Thank you. I don't know if she wants me to say her name or not, so I'm not going to say her name yet. But she's completely responsible for this song. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. DC 28, this song is amazing. It sure is. Need us a guitar player. I need somebody, and I'll sing her, honey. I'll sing her. I was kind of having a little bit of trouble with the first one because it had a little funky timing. Man, I was struggling. This one is a little bit more simple timing. And so for my little simple brain, I needed something a little bit better or easier. So it worked out. God always has a plan, y'all. Even when it looks like, it's gloom and doom. God will take what the devil meant for evil, and he'll turn it around for our good. He's never let me down. Not the first time. Fonda, I'm telling you, this could be the next #1 country hit. It sure could. I love it. As far as I know, it's just the AI that's singing it. So I don't know how that works. So if I can find me a guitar player, honey, I'll sing her. And I'll get down. Y'all see me get down. Tammy, I do really think it would have been business as usual. Keep the brothel up and running. Well, when they cut the head off of one snake, 2 grows back in its place. Kimberly Johnson says you can go through Safari on your iPhone. I didn't, but I read somewhere that you can. So you can give that a try too on the membership. But I think if you do go through Safari, you'll have to enter in your login information. I think is how it's the way it always does me when I try to look up something else. If you touch more on the opening page, the description, you will see the link down below. I am pretty sure that's how I joined Gavin's, and I know I did it that way on yours, Hillbilly Crime. Thank you, Woman of Steel. So you can go to the opening page, go to the home page, and go to the description, and I did put the link in there. And I think on every description, I think I've got it in because I have like a standard description thing that I use, and then I adjust it accordingly for the show, and it's got a link in there. So if you'll go to any of the descriptions on any of my videos, and you'll see it up there, you can go through that way too. Thank you for reminding us. Let's see. Kentucky vehicle taxes are paid at the county clerk's office. Real estate property taxes are collected by the sheriff. Thank you, Randall. Thank you. Tanya, I've recently come across your channel, but I love it. I'm from Harlan as well. Awesome. Yeah, I grew up in Cumberland. We lived at Clover Lick. Loved it. We lived in Benham. We lived in Cumberland on Stacy Hill. We lived everywhere. We moved all the time when I was a kid. I still think Daniel D is still one of the good old boys club. Why Mickey went to see him first before going to see Mullins. You know, and Ned rolled his eyes at me in that show that we did together when I mentioned Daniel being at the deposition. I just found that strange. And somebody that has a whole lot of court experience and legal experience sent me an email and said that they looked to find an entry of appearance, I think is what she called it. I could have a word wrong there somewhere, so don't quote me on that. But I think she said that they, especially like in a federal lawsuit for a deposition, they were expecting to see an entry of appearance somewhere. I don't know where they're supposed to file that or if they even are or anything like that. I'd be interested to talk to an attorney, a lawyer who knows this kind of stuff and see if that even matters. I mean, I don't know. But I noticed that he wasn't present at any of the other depositions. It didn't list him on Zoom, and it didn't. I think the one that Mickey actually gave that deposition, that's the only one that he went to in person. But like for Ben's deposition, I think Mickey's lawyer was present for it. I don't know if Mickey was present for it. I don't remember reading on there. And then I think on Ben's and Mickey's, it looked like Sabrina was present, or at least her lawyer was. Her lawyer was the one giving it. But I think I'm wanting to say she was there on Zoom. She was present on Zoom, but I could be wrong. But I just found it very interesting that was the only one that he went to. You know, that was the only one that he was listed at. And it just kind of felt to me like, was he a babysitter? You know? He seems to be everybody's defense attorney that has big time charges. Thank you, Vonda K. Thank you. You know, butterfly kisses. Yes, Ned did roll his eyes at you. I caught that. Nene, I saw Ned roll his eyes too. He don't like me. That's okay. You don't have to. There's a lot of people I don't like. That is perfectly fine. Just look at the bottom line. It balances out. I think she's talking about, or Carrie Sullivan. I think you're talking about the budget. It's like the paperwork. Yeah, it all balances out all right. Everyone I know that Ned does have vision problems. Know this for a fact. Well, good. Maybe he wasn't rolling his eyes at me. A notice of appearance, Annie Oakley. It's a notice of appearance. Okay. Thank you. And why is that? Well, I wasn't a very good client. I was not a very good client. I thought that everybody should be just as outraged as I was about how they were doing me. And people weren't. You know, it was just business as usual. This happens to everybody. And I was like wanting to scream it from the rooftops what they were doing and how dirty it was and how I wanted some accountability for the actions that they had taken that had really, damaged me and hurt my life. 6 years is what I had to deal with all of that. It drug out for so long. And then the consequences after that sucked. $6,000 in 6 years of my life for something that should never have happened. Just because somebody wanted to show me who was boss and wanted to show me how much power they had. And it just started with one person. It started with one cop on a power trip. And that just bled through the rest of them and up the ranks. And so when we went, now he's a good attorney, don't get me wrong. Ned's a really good attorney. He got my stuff dismissed, which it should have been, it should have been. But when we went to go in the meeting, I was going in with him, and he's like, "Oh, hell no, you ain't going in." And I was like, "Why? You can't keep your effing mouth shut." And I couldn't. He's right. I couldn't. Could not keep my mouth shut. I was just so upset, and I wanted everybody to know what they had done. And nobody cared. Nobody cared. Really did. They didn't. But anyway. About the eye roll, but Kimberly Johnson, I was thinking of how I could tell you about the eye roll that didn't want to be rude. Ned's a tough lawyer. It's okay. Listen, I'm used to him not liking me. It ain't the first time. Yes, Elizabeth, write the book. You know more about this than anybody does. I've just got a lot of experience. I had a lot of experience. Like I said, I've had my teeth kicked in a whole lot over time. I've been humbled beyond belief. Like somebody said one day, I needed humbled. Thank you. Thank you for your opinion. Everybody's got one. Carmen Joel Waldman like you. Carm says you will write the book on this. Over the years, I used to write notebooks. I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. No, he didn't tell me he didn't like me, Miss Vicky. But you can tell if somebody likes you or not. You can tell. You've got to bloom where you're planted. That's right. That's right. That's right. You know, I've always been this way. I have always expected people to do what was right. And I have been grossly disappointed. Grossly disappointed. I've said it this whole time. The only one that helped me was Mike Watts. And let me explain how he helped me. I was in that little room that they showed. I think it was that little room that was across the hallway from the judge's chambers. That little room over there. I think it was that one. If it wasn't that one, there's another one right around there. Right close there. And what they had done was I wouldn't do what they wanted me to do. I wouldn't sign the paper and let them open a case. Social workers. They wanted me to voluntarily sign the paper and let them open a case. And I was like, hell no. I mean, am I stupid? No. I've got a lawyer. I went and hired Ned. I have a lawyer. If you want to talk to me, you need to contact my lawyer. He wrote him a letter and said, I'm representing her. You know, if you need to talk, contact me. They didn't honor that. They didn't abide by that. They didn't give two craps about that letter. Well, one day I get a call. One of the new magistrate's husband, I don't think he's a social worker anymore, but he used to be a social worker. He calls me 5:00 in the evening and says, you've got court in the morning for an emergency removal hearing. To remove my kids out of my home? Yeah. You need to be calling my lawyer, first of all. Why are you calling me? Well, this is how they get you. They think that you don't know. They think you don't know. And if you don't know how it's supposed to go, then they can just tell you this is how it goes. And how would you know any different? And I said, it's 5:00 in the evening. You know, aren't you supposed, you have to send me a notice. Like I'm supposed to be served with papers showing me that I have this court date. You know, it's something, you don't call them up at 5:00 in the evening and say, you got court at 9:00 in the morning and you better be there. And that's exactly what he said. And the more that I said, you know, you need to call my lawyer, you need, you know, this ain't right. You know, I was supposed to be served. Oh, he just was a jerk and just got more abusive in his he was more verbally abusive and aggressive. And I'd never had no problems with him before until he wanted to get on his own little power trip and involved in all of this. And so I get off the phone with them and I call my attorney. I called Ned's office. And one of the female secretaries, I guess, answered the phone. And I was like, and I knew he's a superhero lawyer. Like he's a superstar in these parts. He's like one of the most sought after attorneys around here. You know, if you've got a big problem, that's who you want, is Ned. So I knew he's not going to be free tomorrow at 9:00 in the morning. And so I was freaking out to that lady. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? And she was like, well, you need to go ahead and go. You need to be there. So, and she said, you need to ask for a continuance. 'Cause, you know, I need to be able to see my client. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? And she was like, well, you need to go ahead and go. You need to be there. So, and she said, you need to ask for a continuance. 'Cause, you know, I need to be able to see my client. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? And she said, you need to ask for a continuance. and let them know that your attorney couldn't be there and see if they'll reschedule it. And I had witnesses that went with me to everything. I didn't go by myself. I took people with me. And so this man and woman that I know, they're married and they do a whole lot of community work in this county. And they're very well known. They're very well respected. And they were behind me 1,000%. So we go to court next morning at 9 o'clock. We go in there, and the social worker that shows up, Mr. Claude Short, he shows up and he wants to talk to me before we go to court. I think is how it happened. So we go in that little room there, and he puts the chair in the corner of the room, situates it to where he puts me in that chair, and he stands over top of me and screams at me and screams at me and screams at me to sign the paper. Just sign the paper. When we started to go in there, they started to come with me, and he was like, oh, no. I just need to talk to her. And I was like, no, those are my witnesses. They're going in with me. And they did. And we were in there, and it was so loud. He was coming at me so loud that Mike Watts happened to be just walking down the hallway, I guess. And I remember it, that he poked his head in the door and was like, what's going on in here? Do I need to come in here? And I was like, yes, please, Mike, please help me. Mike helped me. And I told him, I was like, Kevin knows me. He's not going to take my kids out of my home. There's no way this is going to happen. Well, at least that's what I thought. Which they didn't. He didn't. Kevin did not let it go that far. And I was always grateful to him for that. But he also could have stopped it in his tracks, but he didn't. So we go into the court, and I told them that my lawyer couldn't be there, and I needed a continuance. I needed them to do it. So they start saying, we've got it. We've got her notice right here. She was served. I said, I wasn't ever served. I didn't know about this until last night at 5 o'clock. Well, if it wouldn't have been for Mike Watts asking questions and just standing, I don't even know what he asked. I don't even know. But just the fact that he was willing to stand beside me in that hallway out there spoke volumes. And so I don't know if it was Kevin who had him to go look. I don't know if it was Mike that had him go look. I don't know. But so they go and pull the paper that they supposedly served me with, because I think they were pushing to go ahead and remove my kids that day. I'm shaking just retelling this. They get the paper, and it shows that one of the deputies from the sheriff's department, who ended up retiring, he signed it, that he had served me on a whenever at the jail. Well, so what does that mean? They knew I wasn't at the jail. The only time I was at the jail was that one night when I was indicted. They arrested me at 9:30 at night, and I was released the next morning. So they took it over to the jail and just gave it to him at the jail, and the deputy signed on there, served. I wasn't at the jail. How could you sign that saying that you served me when you didn't serve me? But wouldn't that show up? Wouldn't that stand up in a courtroom? Those are the dirty kind of things that they do. Now, it showed on there that I was not in jail on that day. So I didn't get served. And Kevin rescheduled the court date. So Ned could be there. But those are the kinds of things that they do. Those are the ways that they abuse the system and their power. See You Later says Whitesburg could be removed as the county seat if 2/3 of all legal voters who vote at the election vote for removal. The fiscal court shall provide for the removal of the county seat. Well, they ain't going to do that. They ain't going to do that. Con artist. Kangaroo court. My cat's watching you. A.C. Thomas. If you hadn't had someone standing up for you, Lord knows what would have happened. They would have took my kids, is what would have happened. Now, remember, I had to go through that 6-month social services case, and it was forced upon me. I didn't have no choice. Didn't matter. But at the end of it, you have a 30-day window. 30-day window to appeal the case. And if you don't have that appeal in within that 30 days, you lose your window. I did my own appeal. I didn't hire Ned no more after that. I hired him for the criminal case. He got it dismissed. And that was over. And I did my own appeal. And I wanted that administrative hearing. I wanted to be able to produce my evidence to them and show them what their workers were doing to people down here. Because the only way it gets revealed is in a court, is in a hearing, a trial, or whatever. If you take a plea or, like my friend who's an attorney gave me the outline, the skeleton to use for my appeal. And then I filled it in and turned it in and did it all. And he kind of gave me advice and guided me through the process. And so after Frankfurt pulled all of the information from my case, from my appeal, they saw what I was talking about. And they immediately sent me a settlement agreement. It said the good faith settlement agreement. And I started flipping out. Hell no, I ain't signing that. There was nothing good faith about it. Nothing. But he said, sign it and hush. Just sign it and it's over with. You won. But it didn't feel like I was winning anything. And I said, no, I want that hearing. I want to go to the hearing. And he said, if I didn't sign it, he wasn't going to help me no more because I wasn't listening to sound legal advice. And that's my friend. Now, they changed the title because I asked them to. I wasn't going to sign it with good faith settlement. They changed the title, I think. If I remember correctly, they changed the title. And I signed it. And I didn't get my hearing. But everything that they had done against me was removed from my record. So I won in the end. But at what cost? That's my point. And it's not just me. That's the way they did me. Could you imagine how they do people who don't know any better? Just imagine the lives that have been destroyed just because somebody wanted to be a big shot and show somebody who was boss. It enrages me still to this day. Like I'm shaking all over just talking about it. It was traumatic for like 6 months to a year after that happened, every time we saw a police car, we would just we'd have anxiety attacks. All three of us would. My kids were terrified. They had never been away from me, ever. Like, I could count on one hand how many times they ever stayed away from me until they were 12 years old. Could you imagine what it would have done to my kids if they would have literally taken them? Unbelievable, the things that they have the power to do to people, and they have no accountability. You know, a lot of them think that they're just, I mean, I don't know what the hell they're thinking, but you know, it's on the job training. That's the problem. You've got on the job training. You've got bad policies that aren't even followed. You've got abuse, fraud, waste everywhere. Like, we went to a ball game the other night, right? And there were 2 police officers there that I saw. 2. And it was a big game. It was in Knott County. We were district champs. So I guess they were district champs. They're district champs, Powell County. And they played in Knott County at the high school. And we went, and I took all my pictures, and I put them all on my Facebook if y'all want to go look. And I only saw 2 police officers there. When we played our district game, the one that we won, we lost this one at Knott County. But there was only 2 cops there that I saw. When we went to Whitesburg, to our district game that we won, there were so many police. It looked like every single Whitesburg police officer was there. The sheriff's department was there, and state police. There were, and I took pictures. I'm a photographer, somewhat, sports photographer. And when I was editing my photos, I was looking through there. There were so many cops there. They get paid to be there, which is, you know, okay. But do you need 10 police officers at that ball game? I mean, if you do, okay. But it just, after we were reading the audits and how they're supposed to be paid, and then in the deposition, we saw, we learned that through their policy manual, if they are hired for extra duties like that, and they're going to be paid by the school for security, all that money is supposed to be paid to the sheriff's department. And then the sheriff's department is supposed to pay the deputies. But in Mickey's deposition, he said, oh, they just pay us directly. Even though it's in the policy manual, it's not supposed to be done that way. Like, they just break them at will, whatever policy they want to. And then somebody posted a big post from the jail the other day, and I noticed it. And it was around Christmas time. They brought all of the, now I don't know if they were trustees or if they were just inmates, period. But they let them all come out and see their families, and they brought them presents, and they were hugging and just all this, which I think is a wonderful gesture. Don't get me wrong. I think that's wonderful that they did that. But I'd say it's not policy. I mean, why have the policy if you're not going to follow it? You know? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But anyway, thank you, LS. All right, guys. Terry K, seen you on Court TV the other day with Vinny. You were fantastic. And that's how I found you on YouTube. Well, thank you. I think we're going to go back on Vinny on Monday. So we'll be on Court TV on Monday again. And I had another one that is even bigger than Vinny reach out to me today. And so I'm really excited for that one. She is top in my eyes. So I don't want to say it yet because I don't want to jinx it. But she's asked me to come on her show, and I'm so excited for that one. So we'll see. I responded and told her yes, but I haven't heard back yet. So I just got it, though, before we went on. Cole Lewis. Exactly. They wanted to watch the game. Which is fine. That's fine. But how much money went to pay for them to be there? Just saying. You know, our school resource officer, who I love, Miss Leisha, our school resource officer is really the only one that we have at our ball games. Our school doesn't pay a bunch of cops to come. And she handles it just fine. Anytime there's a problem, which there's very few. Remember, we're a bunch of hillbillies. And unfortunately, sometimes at ball games, emotions get a little high and things happen. But it's not like it's an all-out brawl. You know, they're not taking 10 people to jail from these ball games. So I just thought 8 to 10 police officers at that ball game was a little bit much. And then I wondered who was paying for it all. The school, I'm sure. I guess. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. Surely the school ain't paying 10 different police officers, are they? I don't know. Maybe they just were on duty and showed up there. But they were there the whole time. It was an important game. I didn't get paid for being there. I'm just saying. 9 more likes to 300. I don't know if we've hit that over that or not. Y'all give it to us. Hit that. Put a little DNA on that button for us. 3 more likes and I'll shut up. Thank you, Miss Lori. Song Bits Laura. I'm probably going to have to be replay crew. I found you from STS. Well, thank you for being here. On Vinny on Monday. I don't know what time he said. Let me look on here and see. 9 p.m. So it'll probably be like it was last time. I think they do it live on TV. I don't know what channel, because a lot of people saw it that night. The last time we were on, they saw it at 9 on TV, but then they don't post it on like YouTube for a couple days. So, but they were really awesome last time. And the next day they sent me a link to the show. So they're real fancy at Court TV. So, they use like different kind of software. Me and Joel use the same software, so we're able to simulcast our shows. but we can't do that with Vinny and them. So, and we can't do that with Gavin. But so he'll probably, if he does like he did last time, they'll probably send me the link if I ask him real nice, and then we can play it the next evening on our show. So, Nene, no, it ain't Ashley. I'll give you a little hint. It's not on Court TV. And it's not on News Nation. Who's that leave, you guys? Who's that leave? No, Cole Lewis, we didn't win the last game. We lost to Powell County, but look how close it was. It was 43-43 at the end of the game. Tied ball game. Went into overtime, and we ran out of steam. I don't even know what the score was, but they beat us by about 10 points or something. Yay, 300 likes. But them boys sure didn't have nothing to hang their head at, honey. They fought and fought and fought for that game, for that win. But that's all right. We've got an awesome coach. We have an awesome school. We have awesome teachers, and our athletic director is like about bringing jerks tears to my eyes to think about how awesome these people are. Jenkins has got A+, no second to none athletic department. My kids have played for the last 4 years. They played ever since they've been there. They played since T-ball, but at this school, we've just been here 4 years, and we've watched basketball coach just build their basketball program like nothing you've ever seen. And the athletic director is just an amazing, amazing person. And, you know, the kids all respect him. The kids would fight and dig and play for all of them. So we're really blessed at Jenkins, man. We really are blessed. Song bits, Laura. Nope, not Nancy Grace either. No. There's one more y'all ain't thinking about. My favorite. She's my favorite. Anyway, all right. I'll tell y'all later whenever I get a little bit more confirmation on it. All right, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow. Y'all stay blessed, stay safe, stay warm, and we will see you tomorrow. All right. Peace out, Girl Scout. Love y'all. Bye. My mouse will work.